Hey everybody, George Moorhead, and today we're going to talk about new construction versus resale homes and the benefits of both and what do we really expect out of both options. Is one better than the other? We're going to go over that in a minute. Again, my name is George Moorhead with Bensley Properties, and I've been practicing, I was told, almost 27 years. I've been telling you about 26, but I guess it's closer to 27. And we have sold over 2,000 homes, both commercial and residential. And so we've got some great insights to share with you about this. So before we get started, hit your wow button. Let me know that you can hear us. Hit your heart and things like that if it's things that you like. Make sure that you post your questions. We've been getting a lot of really great questions, and it's been a lot of fun interacting with many of you. Again, there's no strings attached. Even if you're working with another real estate broker, don't worry about that. Ask me your questions. If you've got something, ask me. As an example, somebody came to me and said, hey, my garbage disposal smells all the time. How do you fix that? And I was like, well, it's not really real estate, but I do know how to fix that. A lot of people think, oh, you throw a lemon or you throw these little smelly pearls in there, or one I heard was, oh, you throw a potato in there or your eggshells. No, don't do any of that. Honestly, the funniest thing, and actually there's twofold benefit to doing this method. If you use the ice out of your ice maker, okay, one, you should be swapping that out at least once a month, right? Like everything in your freezer, it can get a smell, and then you will taste it. Plus, if you've ever left your ice in there a long time, it gets smaller and smaller. Okay, so pull your ice tray out. Turn on some warm water, not hot, but warm. Turn on your garbage disposal, and then pour the ice into your sink. Do not put your hand in it, but you can help feed it with a tool or whatnot. Just keep your hand at least no deeper than the surface of the sink. Now, here's what's going to happen. Two things, right? First, it's going to be grinding everything up. And the best part is ice melts, right? So you don't have any residual. You don't have any extra particles you're trying to get rid of. Plus, it's not a perfume like, a lot of these things, the pearls will have a deodorant, sometimes a little bit of a detergent. If you're on a septic, that's the kiss of death, right? Because you're going to ruin the flora in your septic tank. And even if you're in the sewer, we don't need to send that out to the fish. So ice, clean, simple, and whatnot. So it's going to be in there. It's going to be grinding. It's going to do all kinds of crazy things in there. And then what will probably happen is you're going to see it's going to start backing up. And that's okay. All right. On the other side, if you got two sinks, you might even see some slushy, ugly, smelly stuff coming up the other side. Again, that's all fine. Leave it alone. That warm water, and as it starts to thaw a little bit, what's happening is now you're really churning, and you're getting all of the gunk and buildup because you probably weren't using your garbage disposal the way you're supposed to. And this way, it churns that all up, and then all of a sudden, as soon as that little slushy starts to clear, boom, it goes out, right? And then when you smell it later, you're like, wow, that's amazing. Plus, now you get some new fresh ice for your summer drinks and your iced tea and your lemonade or adult drinks. Anyway, so with that, I get asked all kinds of questions. So there's a really good one for you. All right, so let's move on. New construction versus a resale. Really, what are the best, what should I do? And it's kind of a personal choice, right? Sometimes it's financial, and sometimes it's more, I want to establish neighborhood, or, I want a bigger yard, which is really some of the times, the bigger ones. So let's go through this. So on new construction, right, you're going to get some new styles, okay? You're going to get new styles, new trends, some of our more modern homes. And you want to be mindful of that because I know this seems funny. You go into a house. I know you've all seen a house, whether it's your current home and you're looking at making a move up, right? Or you're looking at purchasing a home. You might go into a home in the 90s and you might say, this is really dated, right? But at that time, it was the flavor of the month club. So you need to be careful when you're looking at home styles and finishes and make sure that, as you're looking at this, is it going to be a little bit more timeless? Be careful about things that are very trendy, because some fix-ups, some improvements can be rather expensive. All right, okay. They are definitely more efficient. We design homes so tight these days that it's almost crazy. As many of you know, I'm a retired firefighter, And, we hadn't seen backdraft. Anybody watched the movie, right? We hadn't seen backdrafts for years. Why? Well, because the homes had so many air gaps in them that it allowed all kinds of air movement. Well, now we button them up so tight that we actually have to have fans running at least 1 hour for every 24 hours. I recommend that you run them longer at 2 different intervals. Even if you swap out to a silent fan that are more efficient and they're quieter so you don't hear them, and then run it longer. More air movement means better air quality for you and your family, right? Okay. Options and upgrades. That's another thing. Today you get, with new construction, you get a lot more options, and there are some upgrade advantages. So, with the market, leveling out as we had talked about that it would, which is going to carry into next year. I don't see anything catastrophically downward because our inventory is still so low, right? But the key thing is that you're being offered incentives, right, to maintain a purchase price in a plat, which allows you, more options in a home, whether it's quartz or granite countertops, maybe tile floors, maybe heated floors, maybe additional landscaping, maybe a fence. Could be any number of things, right? The limitation is only to what's in the house and, of course, where the home is in the construction process, all right? The other thing you're going to get with new construction, this is a catch-22, right? You get smaller lots. So that's something really to keep in mind, because you might remember a couple of weeks ago we said, hey, when you purchase a home, when you're looking at buying a home or upgrading to your next home, make sure that you're planning that, hey, if I have, 3 kids now and I'm going to 12, is this home big enough for me? I know that's a little extreme. Anybody who knows me, I'm always kidding them, especially newbies like my nephew who just got married. I asked when they were starting on the first of their 12 kids. And then, of course, he got that panic, kind of pale look in his face. But that was all right. I told him that, he had time, at least a couple of years to prepare, at least for the 5th one. And anyway, so with that, small lots. Make sure you're buying a home that's going to fit your needs. The average time in a home right now is, 7 to 10 years, sometimes as long as 15. So make sure that you're making that plan for, hey, is this going to meet my family's needs? And you need to, to keep that in mind, right? Okay. They cost more. Okay, hands down, new construction costs more. Now, that's not 100% all the time. Now, you might say, well, okay, George, what does that mean? That means that if you have a plat of 10 homes or more, a typical new construction plat will get about 10% more than resale value that of neighboring homes, okay? And so that is okay, and as long as you understand that, because that's at premium. But what if we have infill, right? And you're like, okay, well, what's infill? Okay, well, infill is if we have older home, older home, older home, we did a tear down and we built a brand new house, older home, older home, older home. That would be an infill, right? Those types of homes are going to only get about 3, maybe 5% premium for new construction value versus, a similarly size style of house, okay? So that's something to keep in mind also, because, at that point you could very well be buying the most expensive in the neighborhood, right? And if that's the case, you need to make sure that the community and the neighborhood itself is going to stay stable and improving to ensure that you're protecting your investment. That's one of the things that we do give great advice on, and to make sure that, that is a really good decision for you and your family. All right, perfect. Newer developments have HOAs. And some people say, oh my God, I don't want an HOA. Other people say, yeah, I want an HOA. Okay, it's a personal choice. They're not the evil do-gooder that that you think. Yes, HOAs are run by the ownership, and yes, sadly enough, personalities get involved. Okay, however, there are a lot of protections and whatnot for the value of your investment, the value of your home, to ensure that in 10 years, your neighbor doesn't paint a purple house, right? Or your other 2 neighbors aren't mowing their lawn, and you got 2-foot tall grass and they're not maintaining it, and it looks like a like a garbage dump, right? So you need to make sure that what you're looking at as far as new construction, again, also meets your personality style. Okay, if you don't like people telling you what to do, new construction may not be a good choice for you unless maybe it's an infill house. Okay, all right. Now let's switch over to resales. Okay, so a resale, on average, right, cost less. They're not new. However, they tend to be in a more established neighborhood. Okay, so you're seeing a ton of new construction, a bunch of new developments going on, and because land has become more and more scarce as far as for platting and whatnot, especially in the urban areas where the densities are allowed, you're getting into areas that might be older. So you could have, well, let's take the one in Kirkland there. They did a nice large plat. Newer construction, 3,400 square foot homes, absolutely beautiful. They did a beautiful job on that. But they are surrounded by 1950s, 1940s, and some 1970s houses, some of which, well, just aren't very well maintained. So the question is that area going to help or hinder? Well, the new construction helps the older homes, right? But those older homes that are not in great condition that you have to pass right by to get to the new construction, sometimes that's a little takeaway, and that can impact your value, right? Because a new home, like a new car or a new anything, is only new for a very short period of time. So remember that and keep that in mind as you're considering new versus old, right? And back to this, so in an established home, you have a very clear understanding. Everything is similar around it, so on and so on. Okay, all right. Believe it or not, older homes, in my humble opinion, have a better construction quality, right? Because as an example, I cannot draw. I can build a house. You can ask Simon and Annette that question, but I can't build. I can't draw to save my life. But let's say we have a 2x10, which is a typical floor beam, right? And that's a nice solid piece of wood. Okay. Well, today they use what's called a TGI, right, or a silent floor, and that's basically a wooden I-beam. Where this is solid wood, right? The I-beam. See if I can do this right. It's not too bad today. There we go. Notice all of this is gone. And this is typically something like a 2x3. And this right here is going to be like OSB, right? If you've ever seen that little wafer board, it's not plywood, it's OSB, it's a little wafer board, smaller. You see, the benefits of this is that they're consistent, right? They can, they'll set, the height depending on the load. They're always straight. They put a little bit of, tiny little bit of crown on them so that when you load them, that they are straight, right? And they're consistent. And so builders love them because you can just line them right up and away you go, right? Plus they have built-in knockouts, so you can knock out for plumbing and heating and wiring and things like that. It's a great invention for builders and whatnot. It gives you a lot of different options, right? Versus a solid piece of material. So these sometimes, they're a little wavy, or maybe they have more of a crown, but the difference is if you ever have a potential failure, this if you get a water leak or something like that, and you don't know about it and it's continuing, this has a higher failure potential, even though they treat them, to resist, fungus and water and whatnot. That's not a guarantee, right? Only so much can handle. Same thing with these, but these just handle it better, right? It's more solid. You can bounce a new construction floor more than you can in old construction because it's solid. Same thing with beams, right? Before we used to mill these beautiful, absolutely long beams. Problem, they twist, they do all kinds of different things over the first 4 seasons and whatnot as a home is going through its initial life cycle, right? And, with the glue lam or a paralam, things like that, yeah, they're amazingly strong. But again, it's a bunch of chip wood and things like that. So in a fire and a water, things like that, they don't hold up as well. Okay. So they're using what we call an engineered material versus solid construction. If you go into, and I just love going into some of the older homes in Seattle when we're working with clients, and you see the old rough cut, because a real rough cut, right? If you got a 2x4, it's literally 2x4, right? Today, it's an 1.5 by 3.5, right? And so, it's cut down. And in fact, to remodel, there's a lot more work that goes into it because you have to try and transition and match that. And it gets a little harder at times. But it's rough cut, it's sawn, it's solid, and they're just awesome, right? Again, that's why you see a lot of reclamation with older buildings to get that old clear material and whatnot that you just don't get today. All right, you get larger lots, okay? Because the planning and the designs back then, the lots were bigger. We had more open space. They just made lots a lot bigger. And so that is one of the key benefits to an older home versus a newer house, is you get a much bigger backyard. Instead of having 20 feet and you know, maybe 5 feet on each side, you know, reach across, grab the neighbor's pepper, put it on your thing, put it back. They never know the difference, right? Just kidding. All right, you get a bigger lot, okay? A little bit more space, whether it's for entertaining, whether it's, you know, for your family needs and things like that. So that's something to keep in mind. Older homes, you can create your own flavor, right? You can go in, change colors, update cabinets, you know, update flooring. You can do pretty much anything you want. You can add, you know, what we call details on the front side of your house, change the appearance a little bit, right? Make it a little bit more modern, but you have the opportunity to change those. In newer construction, there's going to be limitations on the HOA, what you do on the outside, okay? And on the inside, it's new, so you don't have to do anything until, like, you know, 10 years later, and you're like, okay, then I want to change it. But at least in the beginning, you have those two different options. You can do it yourself, or you can have it done for you, right? Have it done for you, do it yourself. Different options, all right? HOA. You may or may not have an HOA depending on the age of the resale, okay? Hey, let's go up one. Creating your own flavor. You know, the last episode, you know, we talked about contractor pitfalls, things to avoid, you know, with contractors, and good contractors, bad contractors, things like that. And we had a lot of requests, hey, you know, because we hand out about 15 referrals every single week to different vendors, all right? And so people are like, hey, can you just create a site so I can go to that site, I can look at it, and I can pick, you know, who I want, who you've already vetted. And so we heard that loud and clear over the last few weeks. And so May on my team, actually started creating that, and that page is up and running. It's www, right? And it's BP Contractors rs.com. All right, bpcontractors.com. You'll get a access to the list. So if you need something, go to the page. There's no login or anything like that. Feel free to take a look at it. If you want to provide feedback, there'll be a feedback form just so that we can keep track of them. Understand that we only recommend vendors that on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, we look for 10 plus people. Many of these contractors I've worked with for over 15 years, both in homes that I have built, in other subs that we have really good experiences with. However, if they don't do a good job, like we just kicked out a painter, right? He ended up standing up one of our clients, and on a different one, you know, I guess the one before that didn't communicate as well. We kick them off the list. Okay. Understand that they have 3 requirements. 1, they have to give you best pricing. Because we refer out a lot, they give you best pricing. 2, you actually get better quality, because they know that I will come and take a look at it. And if it doesn't pass my sniff test, I ask them to redo things. Plus, if you're not happy about something, hey, you need to only tell them or myself, and they will get out there and do it. Plus, they guarantee communication with you. And if those things don't happen, boop, we kick them out. Everybody deserves a second chance. Don't get me wrong. Like the painter, he deserved a second chance, but that's all you get. It's anytime we have to refer out, it's a reflection on us. So we make sure we only have top tier people, or 10 plus people there. If you are a 10 plus contractor and you want to interview with me and, you know, look at the possibility of getting on that list, reach out to me. Post it in Facebook. We lead by generosity. If you are a superstar, I want to know you. Okay. If you know of a contractor that's a superstar, post it. Let me know about it. To give people options is absolutely awesome. It's a free site. There's no subscription. There's no nothing. There's no strings attached. But do give us feedback, right? And let them know that we referred them. I don't get anything from it, and I don't want, because the commitment is to ensure you get best pricing, good communication, and best quality. There we go. All right. Now, when we talk about new construction and builders, let's kind of get back to that one. Resales are pretty straightforward, and we'll talk about how not to overbuy for a home or how to best negotiate on a house. That'll be in a couple of weeks. We will go over that in a little bit more detail. But here's the thing, new construction, all right? Not only I as a builder, but we represent a lot of buyers looking at new construction. There are times when builders offer more incentives, okay? The first time people say, hey, George, when's the first time I should buy a home in a plat? If it's a new plat, you want to buy the first 1 or 2 homes. Why? That is the best pricing, okay? Because, we have, what's called a loss leader, hey, we're having a discount for the first one, just kind of get the plat going, right? So there's the least amount of profit for the builder because they have the best pricing there, right? Versus the tail end that after each week, the prices go up. And they do. Why? Because the holding costs for the builder go up, and they're trying to manage that margin or that profit point that they're trying to maintain in a plat. You might say, George, I want a better price on this. And I'll say, well, you're not going to get it probably. Why? Because if we start discounting this price, it affects the prior homeowners and any future homeowners. So they would rather provide you with incentives, upgrades, closing costs, buy points down, things like that, to maintain the value of that plat, okay? The other thing is you want to take a look at where they're at. Do they have any standing homes, okay? Or what we call, builder ready, okay? Because any standing homes that is not under contract, right? They are going to be looking at getting that off the market, 1, because they want it sold, 2, because it shows that the plat is selling. So there are some incentives. The other thing that a lot of people don't think about, and this is actually really important to ask, okay, because they're not going to tell you. Ask them if they think or that they know that there's a purchase contract or a home that is pending is going to come back on market, all right? Naturally, they're not going to tell you that, right? They don't want to, say, oh yeah, we got another sale failing and here it is, right? Ask. If you don't ask, we always ask. Why? Because you can actually go and take a look at that home and whoop, move right into it, maybe get a little incentive as far as a concession on interest rate or closing costs, and maybe last minute, touch-ups or whatnot, as far as an upgrade, and you can get a better home that nobody else knows about, right? So some people ask, hey, George, how do we beat out other buyers? There's one little trick for you. That's something very valuable for you. Keep that in mind, all right? The model home is typically the last home that gets sold. Sometimes they'll sell the model home in process if it's the only one of that style, right? Because as you go into a plat, there's 3 or 4 different model styles, and that might be the last one they're going to build in the plat. They may sell it, but keep that in mind. Sometimes, to get that one sold or the very last home in the plat, there might be some incentives there. So at the very beginning, at the very end, but understand the very end is not going to match the very beginning, or getting additional incentives. Okay, so that pretty much covers it for today. New construction versus resale, the pros and the cons on each one of them. We talked about a lot of different things. One last shout out to my nephew Tim. Congratulations on getting married. That's where we were at last weekend. Absolutely amazing. You got a fabulous family. Love your wife, and you just take care of her, big boy. Anyway, all right. If you guys have any questions, again, post it up there. Share it with your friends. Let us know what you think. If there's something you want to hear, something you want me to discuss, other than questions, email me. Throw it up there. Maria is going to go ahead and post a couple of the links, and including the school report. Almost forgot about that. The eastsideschoolreport.com, okay? That's a site, and Marie will go ahead and post that for you guys. It shows the rankings of all of the schools in the different areas, which are the best, which are the worst, things like that, and then how they're trending. So if you are looking at moving into an area, again, it's a free site. There's no login. Go get the information, and again, if you have questions, reach out to us. We're here for you. In the meantime, have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you guys later. Take care.